Hi kids, Mr. Joseph here. I'm going to tell you about missing mass in equations in this video. So, when we have a reaction, the total mass of reactants in a chemical reaction must equal the total mass of the products. So in the chemical equation, what we're having is something called the conservation of matter, or the conservation of mass. That means that you can't lose any mass. The mass that goes in must equal to the mass that comes out of the reaction. This makes sense, kind of like if you had, say, a pizza and you had different parts of the pizza, and they all have a certain mass. And when you put them all together into the pizza weighs as much as the original parts that you put into it. So if we look at a chemical equation, let's look at one. Let's say we're going to try to make some water. Well, if we have 4 grams of hydrogen and 32 grams of oxygen, those two things will react completely to produce water. And how much water? The answer is 36 grams of water. You will notice that there's more mass of oxygen, even though there's only one atom of oxygen in a water molecule, and that's because the oxygen atom weighs so much more than a hydrogen atom. So when we have a missing mass example, like this problem right here, you'll often see the balanced equation given. So this says if 103 grams of potassium chlorate are decomposed to form 62.7 grams of potassium chloride and oxygen gas, according to the equation, 2 potassium chlorates go to 2 potassium chlorides and 3 oxygen molecules. How many grams of oxygen are formed? Well, you might think we might have to take the coefficients here and multiply them by the mass and whatnot, but that's not the case. And this is because the coefficients in a chemical reaction are the ratio between the moles of the different species being either a chemical compound or an element. And it is not the ratio between the mass. So, to help you eliminate the urge to use those coefficients, because many times a missing mass problem will give you the balanced equation like this, I strongly suggest that you change this into a word equation. So we would say that potassium chlorate decomposes to make potassium chloride and oxygen. What I do next is put the mass underneath each of the names and then put X for the unknown. So we have 103 grams for potassium chlorate, 62.7 grams for the potassium chloride, and X for the oxygen. Now we can treat this as an equation, a number equation, and we get 40.3 grams as our final answer. And this is what you do to solve missing mass problems.